Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
The late, great cowboy philosopher Will Rogers said this, and boy, is there a lot of truth in this. Listen, you've got to go out on a limb. Sometimes, because that's where the fruit is. Amen. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch, Zeb Bell. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Good morning, good morning. We need a patriot, a real live patriot to call in with our pledge. Oh, good morning to you. I know before we get started, I'm going to probably say at least 27 times today the wrong day. It feels like a Monday. It's not a Monday. It's a Tuesday. I'll probably mess it up. Anyway, good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with, of course, our great friends as advertisers, Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them today, 734-6969. And right now, let's have a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
Are you the man?
I am, and of course, to make your statement more irrelevant, I actually ended up messing up this morning when you gave me the rundown. It's Monday, but it's Tuesday.
Everybody doesn't have to know. It was a secret. Okay, give us the pledge. Thank you.
Alrighty. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done, my friend. And now let's play the weather forecast.
It's going to be a beautiful day today. Wear the sunscreen. Looking at sunny skies, a little bit on the breezy side. High of 85 tonight. Looks like clear skies with a low of 55. Tomorrow, more clouds are going to be rolling in, so we're looking at partly cloudy skies. Winds bumping up just a little bit. High of 88 with an overnight low of 58. Temperatures dropping to 70 under cloudy skies for Thursday, overnight low of 50. And then back up to sunny skies and 77 for Friday. Looks like mid-80s for Saturday. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, Gina, thank you. Beautiful day outside. I don't know if you get up early in the morning, but if you do, just go outside with a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever, and just sit down and watch that sun come up. We did this morning before I took my daily walk, and what a day. It's beautiful outside. Don't forget Thursday sale day at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Yep, Thursday. Probably going to start at about 11 o'clock at 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Merv May, Cade Rogge, and Lance Udy. The sale that works for you. Call them for cattle consignment and sale information at 678-9411. Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Sale on Thursday at 11 o'clock. And don't forget our friends, too, at Daryl's Cleaners. You know, the restoration of items and dry cleaning is done to preserve the length of your clothes. I mean, I'm not talking about the length like long. I'm talking the length of life. And they do everything right there at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And they'll even wash your clothes, dry your clothes, fold your clothes, and iron your clothes. Man, they're like your mom. All right, you better stop in and see them today at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, waiting right now to serve you. Really good people. Calls are welcome today. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Tomorrow on the program, I'm going to have Debbie Critchfield back again, and we're going to be talking about the Relay for Life. And I don't want you to forget that now it's just a matter of days before the Mini-Cassia Relay for Life at the Burley High School track, and it's going to be on Saturday, June 10th from 11 in the morning until 11 at night, and I urge you to be a part of it or help fund it. Absolutely. And the theme this year, one wish, two wish, you wish, I wish for a cure. Absolutely, the Relay for Life. Don't forget our friends, Ramsey Heating and Electric. Hello, Ramsey's at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They're open 7:30 in the morning till 5 Monday through Friday. For all your, now we're going to say cooling and electric needs, because, man, this forecast this week, dynamite. I love it. Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, and they've got all your air conditioning filters to keep you cool this summer. So stop in. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Don't just leave me hanging. Say good morning back to me.
Well, good morning, Zeb. This is your Skunk.
How are you?
Good, I'm good. I just want to call and tell you I appreciate all you done for us, City Rupert and Veterans, Combat Veterans, and Rupert Veterans Memorial. We had an outstanding bike ride and everything this on Saturday, I'm sorry, and I just wanted to call and thank you. It was a successful deal, and appreciate everything you've done for us.
You know, you don't even have to thank me, JR, because it's my privilege and my pleasure to help serve you and the veterans and anything and everything to do with our veterans and our military. So thank you. God bless you, folks. And I understand it was outstanding. And you had a lot more bike riders this year, didn't you?
Yeah, we had some more. We had more bike riders come in this year, and it worked out really good. We had Senator Anthon and Hagdorn. I hopefully I pronounced that correctly, but they was over done a nice speech each, and it was really a nice deal. We had a lot of people, a lot more. Hopefully next year will be 3 or 4 times as many.
Well, I want to say thank you to you for coming on my program, and George and Senator Kelly Anthon and Marv Hagedorn, all of those folks. But God bless you, man, and that was really nice for you to call. And I understand old Lonesome George is headed up north, so we'll just kind of wish him well. He left early this morning.
Yeah, he skipped out on us. There might have been some work to do or something like that, and I'm sure that he skipped out on that. So
you know him.
He's here for us, right?
You know him well. Thank you. I appreciate your call, my friend. God bless you, man. Thanks.
God bless you. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. That was all because of the Idaho Roll Call Monument. Great big festivities this past weekend, and God bless J.R. Strunk and everybody else, Senator Kelly Anthon, Marv Hagedorn, George and Donna Mass, and everybody. It was. I got an email this morning. They said it was absolutely outstanding. Thank you. That was a very, very nice phone call. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Denny's Restaurant. Oh, man, I'll tell you this morning, I'm hungry. I didn't eat hardly anything last night because, to be honest with you, I porked out too much this weekend. But now I'm starving. And Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and also 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. The best of breakfast menus, the best of burgers. They've got a new line of burgers that will absolutely knock your socks off delicious. And great people serving you at Denny's Restaurant, which is known as America's Diner. You stop in today, 611 North Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Denny's Restaurant is the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. It's good to hear your voice again.
Well, hello there, Mr. Sunshine. How are you?
Well, I'm pretty darn good. You know, once again, the press has stepped in their doo-doo. they found out that Jerry Kirshner did not do what they said he did. But the thing that really bothers me is they don't have to take responsibility for the stupid things that they said about him and about other things, too. There's just no justice in the way the press acts.
You know what, Keith?
Action on page 8 or 10 or whatever it is does not excuse them from their bad behavior.
No. You know, Keith, I'm glad you brought that up because, quite frankly, I was going to visit about it. The media is totally in the tank against the Trump administration. You can pick up any newspaper, including our wonderful, illustrious Times News, and no headline, no story will give Trump any credit or any positive stand on any of his accomplishments so far since January. I am fed up with it. And you know what? The Twisted Times News, the other day in the paper, I went through there and counted nine stories about Donald Trump. Every one of them was twisted to the point where the story was against him and what he had done. I'm fed up with the left media. They are nothing more than sleaze.
Well, and we have reporters for the Times News that are good people.
Yep.
But by the time it gets to the desk of the editor, he blanks out what he wants to and puts in what he wants to.
Well, a lot of their stories...
it should be, because it's not the truth.
Well, hold on a second, Keith, because a lot of their stories are taken right from the wire services of AP or the Washington Post or the New York Times, whatever, and put in the paper. But they still are not giving the man any credit. They're not giving the administration any credit. There was just recently a very well-done trip to the Middle East, and it really woke up a lot of people that there's a new sheriff in town, and it made a lot of people think, hey, the United States is back. We better start giving them some respect. And the newspapers and the televisions, the networks, they never gave him one iota of credit.
For one thing, before they write the story, they need to check the facts, and they don't even come close.
Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you. Keith, I hope you had a wonderful weekend, and you got a big birthday coming up this next weekend, partner. Good day and happy birthday to you.
That's only part of it. On the my wife has done this. You know how wonderful she is. But on the 2nd of June, on the 3rd of June, which is the day after my birthday, she set up an open house at the Institute building here in Burley, across from CSI.
Yep.
From 2 to 4. And we don't want any gifts or anything. We just want to be able to say hi to everybody out there that's been so wonderful to me over all these years.
Well, that is very nice. That is very nice. And I'm hoping I'm going to be in town so I can attend. I'll guarantee you that. But listen, you have a wonderful day, and God bless you, and we'll see you later. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate it.
You betcha.
Thank
Bye.
you. All right. Hey, don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental. They literally, this is the truth. They have all the equipment to get the job done right. Whatever the job, they've got the equipment. Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, parts, 3 locations, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. And, now with the rains and everything and the grass growing in the sunshine, mow like a pro with those Walker mowers. 0% interest for 48 months. And, use what the pros use and get them at Barry Equipment and Rental. Again, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, with old Juan and the crew serving you at Barry Equipment and Rental. Want to take just a moment here, and then I want some more phone calls. I really do. We're going to talk a minute about something that is so pitiful, and a person that was at the highest peak and now is totally at the bottom. Tiger Woods. Hold on. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, and they can help you get back to being you. Had a little accident, Bunky? Well, they can help. Maybe a surgery, they can help. Or maybe a sprain, whatever, from working out in the yard this spring. They can help. And they've got all the exercises they can help you with. They've got the hydrotherapy pool, the only one of its kind in the area. All you have to do is call for an appointment at 678-1191. 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with old Nick and the whole crew. Great people. And they're right at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. You know, we'll take this call first. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Well, my goodness sakes, a voice that we haven't heard from a while. Pardon me while I sit and shake and tremor.
Well, that's quite an intro there.
I know it is, but hurry up. Don't make me feel bad.
Okay. But the president's speech to the NATO, I just loved it. That is exactly what a leader sounds like.
Okay, you're talking about and referring to where he got up and he didn't mince any words. He looked him in the eye and said, hey, you're not paying your fair share. We're picking up most of the tab, and we're picking up where the location is of the United Nations, and also for NATO. We're picking up most of the money on both sources. It's about time you people stepped up to your obligation and paid the piper.
Exactly. And I love that little line he threw in there, and I haven't, and I'm not going to ask what this new building cost.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, Doug, why is the left absolutely trying to crucify Trump for this? They over the last couple of days, they've come out and they've just absolutely denigrated him for, oh, he's much too pushy. Oh, he's going to hurt our allies. Oh, he's going to make them feel bad. Baloney, don't you get sick and tired if it were you, the money man, always buying for the rides at the carnival and nobody shares their money?
Exactly. The way I look at it is President Trump has stepped into the White House and he's being the adult. And all the teenagers there that got their way and all they had to do is whine and they got their way, now they're going to have to toe the line. And you know what it is when you've got a teenager that is let run amok and then all of a sudden you lay down the law and this is what it's going to be. You know how they rebel.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going on.
You know what I'd like to organize in this country? And caller number 2, if you're listening, stay there. I'll be right there, I promise. I would like to organize, and I'm dead serious when I say this, Doug. I would like to start organizing an attack on the left for their absolute insane liberalism that's destroying this country. And I think the right, us, we need to start something that's absolutely going to minimize and ridicule these people into non-existence.
Well, all we got to do to ridicule them is play their past speeches and the stands they took years ago and how they flip-flopped over to the other side because they don't think we have video recording.
You know, and what you just said right there.
What they say.
What you just said right there. And the left, they totally shine this on, especially the comments by Obama when he sat up there and didn't know the mic was on and he said, oh, please tell Vladimir that I'll have much more flexibility after the next election. If that would have been Trump, I'm guaranteeing you the impeachment papers would have been in the mail.
Exactly. That's exactly it. They got two standards. They think the door only swings one way, and we need to stand up and show them it swings the other way, and if it hits them in the nose when it swings the other way, so be it.
Or elsewhere.
Well, it's your show. You can say that.
Hey, quickly, and I got to take another call, but how you feeling?
Pardon? I'm sorry.
I said, how are you feeling?
Oh, better every day.
Well, good. God bless you.
Day.
God bless
and one thing I'm going to start on a campaign is all you guys out there, learn your PSA number.
Absolutely. You know, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to have a doctor in a little while, a couple of weeks, on the program for that. And I'll call you and let you know.
Yes, please do.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Hey, and remember your senior centers, guys. Let's support the people that fought for this country to keep it free. whether in the service or in their labor to help supply the service.
Thank you. Very well said. Thanks, my buddy. Take care.
Okay,
Caller number 2, I apologize. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Sib. May I change the subject?
Well, you just did. Go ahead.
I was asking your permission. I don't know how many of you, I'm sure all of you have seen this, but it is breaking my heart that this little dog has not been found for this disabled vet and returned to him. You know what ad I'm talking about? Lost and found. In fact, there was a whole strip across the bottom of the Times News on the 20th about little Tinker that had been stolen and then resold.
I do not. I am sorry, I've been so much out of town and everything. Deanne, do you have that for me? She's looking it up for me right now.
The first part of the year, there was this little Tinker. She's a little Yorkie.
Okay.
She belonged to a disabled vet. She was stolen by a woman who was seen grabbing her, and the dog was trying to get away. They found out the woman lives in Oakley, and that she resold the little dog in February or March. But this man needs his dog back. She loves him. She's 8 years old, and it's just breaking my heart that there's somebody out there knows, especially when it's right here in our area, somebody knows where that dog is, and at least can tell him that she's all right, or that get her back to him.
You know what, Adrian? Deanne, my lovely bride, just handed me the advertisement for the dog, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut it out and highlight it. Now, first of all, let me ask you a couple of quick questions on this. A lady stole the dog, you said, and do they know who the lady is, and has there been charges, or what's going on here?
Well, see, I haven't called him because to ask him that question, I was going to do that before I talked to you, and then I thought, well, I had a chance to call this morning, so I would talk to you. But that's the thing, and how they found out she was from Oakley, I don't know, and that she's resold. I don't know how much they can say, but we do need to do a follow-up and find that out. But he is just so heartbroken, and there have been several different types of ads. The more information they found, the more he added to his ad.
Yeah.
They're offering an $800 reward plus whatever the dog cost to be sold or paid for.
Okay.
But this man needs his dog back.
You know,
Bad enough he's disabled, he served his country, and then to have someone do this to him. That woman knows she did something wrong. And how she can live with herself, I don't know.
Well, I couldn't imagine doing something like that, taking somebody else's dog. I can put myself in this picture, that if somebody stole our little mini Aussie Corgi, Ruby, they probably would rather have the devil on their doorstep than me, because if I found out who it was, I'll guarantee you there would be hell to pay.
I totally agree. Totally.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep highlighting this.
I was hoping maybe someone out there that's listening may have some idea or some leads or something, because this man needs his dog back.
I tell you what I'll do. I'll cut it out, and I'm going to ask you if you would please, if you hear anything more that is bona fide and verified information, call me back and let me know, but I'll keep highlighting this.
Thank you so very much.
All right, thank you.
And let's get out there and help this man.
Absolutely. I just can't imagine how somebody could steal a dog from someone, especially one of our veterans. And, you know, when you get attached to those dogs, I know how we are with Ruby. Oh, my goodness, she owns the place. And she's got a special place in the pickup where she just perches and watches everything going on. And to think that somebody could take another person's dog like that. Oh, you haven't seen the wrath that can come down on a person like that. It's despicable. Absolutely despicable. And, yeah, the lady was right. How can you look at yourself in the mirror after you've done something so absolutely low? Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're located right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room. And the number to call for a hearing screening. If you're noticing some diminishment in your hearing, hey, Don't let that go. You be sure and call. She can help and will help. Who am I talking about? Lovely Dr. Christine Pickup, and she is absolutely the best. You call her today for an appointment, 312-0957. 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, serving you. Get a hold of them today. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Tiger Woods, it's sad. It really is sad how you could be at the top of the mountain. At one time, nobody was as good at what he did than Tiger Woods. Nobody. Ever since he was a little boy, being tutored and coached by his father, Tiger Woods, even as a small child, appeared on major network TV shows and just had the eye of everyone, and they were just awestruck with the ability of Tiger Woods to play golf. Now, whether you're a golfer or not, doesn't make any difference. This man had so much talent. This man had command, had total command of a game that is a very hard game to play. This man was the leader of the pack, with all the big names in professional golf looking not only up to him, but watching him just go past everybody and lap them. I mean, this guy was winning everything. He was the epitome of people wanting to watch a golf tournament. He made people that didn't want to watch golf because they compared it to watching paint dry. He took those people, and Sundays they were glued to the TV set watching Tiger Woods destroy the competition. He was that good. And yesterday, after all of his accomplishments, the man has gone on a continual snowball rolling downhill attitude with his problems with his wife and his family and other problems. Yesterday, he was arrested at approximately 3 a.m. in the morning for a DUI. Pardon my cough. He was released on his own recognizance, but I think Tiger Woods is a fading memory. Tiger Woods has got some problems. Tiger Woods, I don't think, will ever come back and be, I could be wrong, I hope I'm wrong, I don't think he'll ever be the person that golf looks up to, the person that young children that want to play that game can imitate and emulate. I don't think he'll ever turn that corner. Age is catching up with him. And now with all these other problems, he just has many, many hills to climb. And it's such a shame. With all that talent and all that God-given ability, and he wasted it. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to talk a little bit, let's see, about Climate Accord in just a minute. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn, and they're open Monday through Friday, 7 to 5:30, Saturdays 7 to 2. And boy, a lot of people took my advice and went in there last week and got all the tools they needed for the Memorial Day weekend with the honeydews, and they got the job done. They had, of course, all the power tools, all the forklifts, all the lawnmowers. They got everything over there to clean up, spruce up, and fix up. They've been doing business since 1979. They are the best. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. You stop over or give them a call at 678-3122. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I hope, no, I'm going to change the verbiage on that. I hope and I pray that President Trump will not weaken his stand on getting out of and running away from the Paris Climate Accord. It's wrong. The Paris Climate Accord is wrong. It is controlling of us. It is anti-progress for us. And to be very honest with you, I'm going to sound like I'm slamming certain people even locally, and yes, I am. Educated people, really educated people, knowledgeable people, know that climate change is nothing more than a hoax. Climate change is climate change. Now, understand where I'm headed here. We have had climate change, I say we, even before we have been here as mankind. Climate change is cyclical. And climate change is changing again now. We are seeing a much cooler norm being set by the climate changing. However, the liberal mindset is, if we can say that climate change is doing this, that, and the other, why we can rule and we can control and we can set our own levels of what people can do and what they can't.
I'll go put you through real quick.
Right now, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Oh, hopefully we're back on the air, and I have no idea. Wheels, what happened over there, if you'll tell me, please?
It just kind of started cutting out.
Okay.
You were in you were talking about the segment and everything, and like I said, it just...
All right, well, we'll watch that, and we won't let it happen again. I hope. I know it wasn't your fault, but we'll try not to let that happen again. I apologize, folks. I heard a crack on the phone line earlier, and it didn't do anything, and then all of a sudden, bang, it went off. I apologize. But what I was saying about climate change is that educated people, knowledgeable people know that climate change is a hoax. Now, you might have heard people say, well, we, the liberal elite, we know that all the science... No, wait a minute, stop right there. When they say all scientists, that is a blatant lie. It is a blatant lie. They can conjure up their own little groupings of these guys with the spectacles on the end of their nose and standing there in white frock coats and clipboards, and they can say, well, they all agree that climate change is real. Well, no, they don't all agree. And no, most meteorologists and climatologists that really are educated, they will tell you no, climate change or global warming, as it's presented by the liberals, is nothing more than a hoax. Even the local Times News and some of their op-ed people, who I wish would take an aspirin and a pillow and lay down and take a nap, are coming out and saying that anybody that doesn't believe in climate change, well, they're kind of backward, they're kind of hayseeds, etc. Bunk. Climate is changing. Climate has always changed. And when you ask these people that supposedly pretend that they're so much smarter than you and I, okay, what are you trying to accomplish? What is your desired goal? What are you trying to feature as the ultimate in optimism for climate change? They go, well, they don't have an answer. What are they going to do? Seed the clouds and try to make it an optimum where everything stays at 70 degrees? 75? 80? What are they going to try to change? How are they going to try to change it? What are the optimum levels that they're searching for? And they can't give you an answer. They don't know. But basically what climate change is, and what the Paris Climate Accord is control of the people, control of the masses, control of industry, control of travel, control of this, that, and everything. Because they're not smart enough to have definitive answers as to, well, if we do this, we can stay at an optimum here. Warmer temperatures, you don't have to be a rocket scientist or a college graduate from Rutgers to understand this. Warmer temperatures breed, if you will, better climes, better agriculture, better conditions. What do they want to put us into? Another ice age and leave us there? Do they want to put us so that our agricultural programs are minimized to the point where we can't grow and we're dependent upon other people? Oh, bingo. Then you have control of us and the greatest agricultural programs in the world right here. Caller, stand by. I'll be right with you. I promise. I got to get this in. I was rattling on too much. I want to remind everybody about JJ Quarter Horses production sale coming up this next weekend, June 3rd. Oh, my, under the big white tent at Jed Jacobs Arena in Sugar City, Idaho. I know Jed. He puts on a lot of team ropings, and he's got excellent horses. He's got using horses, not these pretty feed and lead horses. He's got using horses, rope horses, ranch broke horses. He's got horses you can get on, ride, and use, and that's the way it should be. You can call Jed Jacobs at 390-4144, Jade Stoddard at 308-3885. JJ Quarter Horse production sale coming up this next weekend on June 3rd in Sugar City. Don't you miss it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You hit the nail on the head. This is all about control. Agenda 21 from its very inception. I should say the United Nations, since its very inception, has been out to destroy the U.S. of A. And this is just, the Agenda 21, of course, is just the poster child. And, of course, global warming, climate change is obviously their star attraction. And they push it no matter what goes on. And despite the data out there, all 73 of the UN models have been wrong, for starters. We keep hearing about this. 97% of the scientists are on record of favoring global warming. Well, guess what? That's only 77 select scientists. They have two of them, I guess, to somehow say, well, I guess we're against it. So that's 75 out of 77, that's 97%. At the same time, there's over 31,000 U.S. scientists, including 9,000 PhDs, that are against man-caused carbon dioxide global warming. I mean, it's just ludicrous when you do the numbers, but the media plays up this 97%, but they won't tell you the other. The old saying about figures don't lie, but liars figure, that's exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Whoa. Stop for a minute, Adrian. I want to ask you the same question I posed a moment ago, and then I've got a weather forecast, so don't make it a long, rambling answer. Just hit the point on this. When you ask somebody that is a firm believer that man is causing climate change and that, oh, my goodness, we've got to lower the temperature, they don't have any absolutes. They can't answer the question of what do you want? What is optimum? They can't answer that because they don't know.
Well, the truth is if we go below 150 parts per million with CO2, we die. Because the thing they never point out, Zeb, is that CO2 and water in green plants in the process of photosynthesis produces the food we eat and the oxygen we breathe. We never hear that. That's
right.
I mean, and most of our plants actually are thriving better with 404 parts per million, and they would love to have about 4 times that much. It's just ludicrous, the whole thing from top to bottom, and the UN officials have admitted this is all about redistributing the wealth.
Yep.
We're destroy our nation, give our money.
Yep.
I see Al Gore wanted $15 trillion, I think it was. Yeah, this guy ought to be taken out, and put in an insane asylum.
No, I agree with your answer. And you know what I'd like you to do, Adrian, is call me after the program and let's get a segment that's handy for your time schedule and come out here and let's break this down on the air for a complete segment. Would you do that for me?
I'll try to do that. It's a busy time of the year, but I'll do what I can. I'll be back with you, okay?
Thanks, Adrian. God bless you, man. Thank you. There's a man that works with and is a scientist, and he knows what's going on. And what are you saying, Deanne? You going outside? Okay, bye-bye. Why are you going outside? Change water. Okay, now we've got the whole story. But I really do appreciate his calling because climate change, global warming, if you'll sit there and buy this garbage, and it is garbage, without doing your own personal study, your own research, then the onus is on you. It's your fault. Because if you just accept the liberal left saying, oh, well, my goodness, we've got to change climate, we've got to cut back on this, we've got to join the Paris Climate Accord, just what Adrian was talking about, they being all the other countries in the world, it's a change. It's a slipping of the dollars under the table to make the U.S. weaker and more dependent on everybody else. That is the truth. Time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center at 382 North Overland in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin Falls, and Jerome Urgent Care, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. The doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days. Now, minor emergencies, major care, and they're open 7 days a week. Well, right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's going to be a beautiful day today. Wear the sunscreen. Looking at sunny skies. A little bit on the breezy side. High of 85 tonight. Looks like clear skies with a low of 55. Tomorrow, more clouds are going to be rolling in, so we're looking at partly cloudy skies. Winds bumping up just a little bit. High of 88 with an overnight low of 58. Temperatures dropping to 70 under cloudy skies for Thursday. Overnight low of 50. And then back up to sunny skies and 77 for Friday. Looks like mid-80s for Saturday. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Wow. Weather forecast. Wow, I love it. Brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care at 382 North Overland in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. You know, the folks that work there are just so great, and you can trust that they're going to take care of you, whether it's a cut, a sprain, a strain, whatever it might be, they will help you, and like I said, they're open 7 days a week. The urgent cares, you stop in and see them today. Don't forget, on Thursdays we have a segment called It's Time to Grow with our dear friend from the University of Idaho, horticulturalist Tony McCammon, and that's at 9:15 on Thursdays. Don't forget, University of Idaho, Tony McCammon, and It's Time to Grow on Thursdays. I want to get into something else that was... It was hard for me yesterday to go to the cemetery. It really was. I went with Deanne and we put flowers on the graves. And I looked around the cemetery, and there were hundreds and hundreds of people there paying their respects. And I looked around at all those American flags that were beautifying the graves of those that have served. And I'm not embarrassed at all to say that a tear came into my eye, and I felt lonesome. I just didn't feel like I've done enough to say thank you to them. All those soldiers in those graves, they didn't know me. I never knew them. And many of them, they gave their lives for me. They gave their life so that I could pursue my career and I could raise my family. And I could enjoy living here in a beautiful state, in a beautiful part of the United States. They didn't know me. And they gave the ultimate for me. And I stood there as Deanne was taking care of the flowers. And I thought, where is our great country headed with future leadership of the younger generation? Not all of them, but too many of them that have no respect at all for what has been just literally handed to them. I've said this before, and maybe you're bored to hear me say it. I don't know, and I hate to say it this way, but I don't care. It has to be said. They're being handed everything in this greatest country ever known to the world, the United States of America. And how could these young, snot-nosed, know-nothing kids burn and destroy and curse and condemn and tear down the flag and just absolutely act like jerks if they really went to a cemetery, like on Memorial Day weekend, and somebody took them around and showed them the different grave markers, and maybe had little stories about how those soldiers died for them. That was one of the, yesterday, it hit me harder than it's hit me in years past. The beauty on a just absolutely perfect day with those American flags and all the stories that are buried in the ground at that cemetery about people that fought and died for me. It was a real humbling experience. And when I look and listen to these punks that have never done anything, they've never had to do anything, and they are going to be the next leaders, groups of leaders for this country. I mean, it just took my breath away thinking, how can they be so stupid? How can our education system be so stupid? How can the professors be so stupid not to appreciate and realize what has been handed to them because of other people giving the ultimate? Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Doing the right thing matters. And I know a lot of you're looking ahead now to the 4th of July, maybe getting out, getting gone, and getting lost. I'll tell you what, we'll make sure you've got the tires to do the job for you on your vehicles, whether it's your pickups or SUVs, your cars, boat trailers, horse trailers, whatever. Work with the people that know the best tires for your driving conditions. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Be sure and stop over and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. And they're the best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. Calls are welcome and appreciated, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I'd like to hear what you have to say about anything and everything that we've talked about this morning. By the way, in kind of a correlation to what I was mentioning just a moment ago, you need to listen very closely every day on the news, and I mean this, every day on the news, somebody, or in the newspapers, some black leader is saying some racist remarks that refer to racism at its dirtiest when they start saying white power today, or saying white supremacy today, or controlling whites today. They are really spreading the hate and division, more so than I've seen since way back in Alabama in the 60s. The left in our country, and I'm going to say this the way it is and truthfully, the left in this country had 8 years of a mulatto president. Half white, half black. And he did nothing to unify. And when I hear the likes of the Black Lives Matter group, which absolutely sickens me, and other pathetic groups, all are for creating a larger racial strife and divide in this country. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop. We're going to take a little break, and we're having kind of a local program today in all the different segments. And coming up at 9:06, we're going to talk to one of my favorite people, and he knows cars. I mean, man, oh man, does he know cars and old pickups and everything else, and that's Jimmy Flowers. And he's going to be on the air talking about a great big Minnetonka Auto Collectors show. And then at 9:30, we're going to have Senator Kelly Anthon on the air. And Kelly, good friend of this program, has done a tremendous job, and I really appreciate him. Then at 10:06, Dr. History, and then we changed from yesterday being Monday. We needed to get Vicky's Country Garden in here, so we're going to have Vicky on the air at 10:30 this morning. All of that and much more. You stay tuned. Excuse me. Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Wheels, take it away. Oh my, you look outside and we have waited, not patiently, we have waited impatiently for this kind of weather, and oh man, it's beautiful outside. Welcome back to Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services.
Canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Way Services, always at your disposal. You know, all you have to do, it's so simple to get on the route service. Call them up, 734-6969, and just say, we need our garbage picked up. My goodness, they are good. And they're so loyal to the community and people that they serve. Please take my advice. Call them today, 734-6969. Western Way Services, it's true, always at your disposal. In just a few minutes, we're going to have my good friend Jimmy Flowers on the air, so stand by. Jimmy, I'll be right there. Don't forget to Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, the manager, his family, and his staff. They can help you with all the arrangements when there's the passing of a loved one. And they can come to you. They can go to the rural towns and the churches. You don't necessarily have to go to them. Please write the number down and give them a call, because they always treat you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. I'll repeat it again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, serving you. As you know, I've been really careful the last couple of weeks. We've been telling you about parvovirus, a highly contagious viral infection spread to dogs and puppies. Well, I'm telling you, folks, if you haven't vaccinated your dogs and puppies yet, please, underline the word please, take them to Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street in Hayburn, 678-1177. Dr. Bill, Dr. Liz, the whole crew, they really care about your dogs and puppy dogs. So why don't you take them in there today? Make an appointment, 678-1177. 678-1177. They do have warm hearts for cold noses. Well, I don't know if Jimmy's got a cold nose or not, but good morning, Jimmy Flowers. How are you?
I'm just fine, Mr. Bell, and how are you?
Well, when I talk to somebody like you that has all the talent in the world of taking an old piece of metal that's all rusted out and making it look like it's, a classic, I'm talking about the Minnetonka Auto Collectors Car Show. You personally have done this along with your lovely wife many times. I'm in awe of your talent, my friend.
Well, I'll tell you this, when I wore a younger man's clothes, only thing I do anymore is try to keep them running, keep them shining, and go to car shows.
Well, now let me ask you something. Car shows. I mean, boy, oh boy, at first glance, me being in the livestock business and everything with the horses, etc. What's the big grab? What's the big hook, if you will, to get people to go look at these cars?
Well, we're finding out more all the time that a lot more of the younger people are getting involved in it. It was, when we first started it up, it was kind of a more mature person's hobby because, 30 years ago, the cars that are on the road now weren't made, and so everything that was in our first car show was probably already 30 years old then. So the older cars, they're getting kind of replaced for, I hate to say, antique out of the 60s, when, that to me, and probably to you, that don't sound like it's all that old.
No.
Yeah, there's 50-year-old cars now that, weren't even made when we were young.
Jimmy, if you got some papers there, hold them real still. It's making too much noise. I can't hardly hear you. But let me ask you this. I had, when I came to Idaho, you probably remember these cars, a 1964 Oldsmobile Jetstar with bucket seats and the transmission on the floor. Now, I wished everything I could have that car back.
Yeah, we've all got one of those. I had a pretty classy 62 Bonneville Pontiac convertible with a big motor and a 4-speed on the floor. And yeah, I know what you mean. If there was one we could go back and pick up, that would probably be the one I'd want.
Well, let me ask you this question then about cars themselves. Now, you, of course, have restored many cars, and the quality, the texture, the metal, are cars built better today in all circumstances and all reason as compared to 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, or not?
Well, I hate to say it, but I've watched several of these crash tests between an older car and a newer car, and the new ones are lighter and faster, and in some cases safer.
Really?
Yeah.
But the old cars, let's talk about that old Jetstar, that old Oldsmobile Jetstar I had, and the cars you've had, etc. What is the affection for bringing them back? I mean, why do people want to take all the time, all the labor, all the paint, all the body work? Why do they want to do this?
Well, the generation that through the 60s and even the early 70s, when I was getting out of school and these cars were brand new and you wish you could have one, and there's no way you could afford to buy the air and the tires. Well, as people got older and, for lack of a better word, become more affluent or got a little more money that they could spend, they started going back and looking for those cars that they desired when they were a teenager and couldn't afford. And now, in order to get one and to have it look like they did back then, somebody's got to restore it, because there are very few that the original condition that still look up to par.
Now, when you go to restore a vehicle, and I remember we've talked about this in the past on this segment, when you go to restore an older vehicle, let's say it's my old Jetstar, just for thought here for a few moments, how do you get the parts? Are they still being made, or what do you have to do?
I'll tell you, I haven't done an Oldsmobile or one of them for a while. But as far as the Ford and the Chevy, they've got books where you can pretty near buy every little O-ring and cotter pin and that goes on one. They cost more, but you can almost restore them clear back to original, and they look like they did when they, or in some cases better when they come off the showroom floor.
Wow. Now, here's a question I don't think I've ever asked you before, but now, have you ever figured out how many cars of a certain type that Detroit makes during the course of a year? I mean, let's just say the Mustang. How many cars do they make? And if they don't sell all those models, what do they do with them?
Well, I've seen pictures where they call it the graveyard parking lot, and I don't know if they really exist. I've just seen pictures of them where if those cars don't sell, they will not sell them so cheap that it undervalues the ones they did sell. So let's just park them and let them rot.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Well, now, this all leads me to talk to you about the Mini-Cassia Auto Collectors 31st Annual Car Show at the Cassia County Fairgrounds coming up this weekend. Why would people want to go there? What's the big deal going on there, Jimmy?
Well, I'll tell you, before we get into that, on behalf of myself and the car club and all the members in it, we would like to personally thank you for all the support that you've given us these last few years. We appreciate it to no end, and you got no idea how much it's helped. Now, back to the cars.
Thank you.
About 7, 8 years ago, it was raining so bloody hard out there at the fairgrounds that, you didn't even want to be there yourself. And I got to wondering, what a bunch of idiots to bring these cars out here and park them in the rain. Then I got to looking around, and I thought, well, there's people that's even more off the rocker than we are, because they was paying to come in and see these cars in the rain.
Well, it's a tremendous show, and it's at the Cassia County Fairgrounds, and it's going to be on June 3rd and 4th. And tell us the times, tell us the entry fee, tell us everything we need to know.
Okay, gates will open at 9 o'clock on Saturday, and they'll stay open until 7 o'clock. On Sunday clock, they open at 9, and everything will pretty well be wrapped up by 5 o'clock. Okay, the younger kids, 0 to 6, they get in for free. We'd like to be accompanied with a parent or a guardian or somebody that can kind of hold them in check a little bit. And then the ages from 7 to 12 cost them $1.
Okay.
And then 13 to 69, it's only $3. And then 70 and over is free again.
Okay. Now, Jimmy, what about special awards and prizes to the top cars? Everything you want to talk about there?
Well, there's a whole list, and I don't know how much of you want me to go through. There's best Chevy, best convertible, best engine, best Ford, best interior, best Mopar, the best of show, the best of the rest, the best paint. There's a kid's choice, a lady's choice, a youth car.
Wow.
And there's even an unfinished class. And it's also open to any kind of a vehicle. We've had tractors, we've had boats. There's a special category set up for pedal cars and bicycles. And the People's Choice this year is being presented by Dan Diebert. And all the local merchants, we appreciate their help. They donate meals, the tickets for them. There's raffle items. There's lots of caps and cups and etc. We appreciate all those things that they donate to us. And we have a plug I got to put in. We have a jar by the gate for people that would like to donate to the Meals on Wheels. We've helped them, the last 5-7 years or so. Whatever people donate in the jar, the club will match it up to $500.
Wow. Hey, we've got a caller with a question for you. Caller, go ahead, please.
Yes, Bill. This is an answer to the question that you ask. What do we do with all these extra cars they don't sell? For instance, many of those cars are sent to colleges, technical schools, and that sort of thing. I know firsthand because I've hauled cars from CSI down to the Burley High School for these kids to take apart and put back together. And they do this several times. And it's really a wonderful thing that they donate these cars.
Okay, well, that answers that, and I appreciate your calling in. Thanks, Keith. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. Jimmy does a great job with this, too.
Absolutely. By the way, Jimmy, I understand you're going to have a raffle. What are you going to raffle away this year?
Boy, I can't tell you because I don't have a list of the stuff. We always have the big prizes. We have a pedal car of some sort. And then Glenn Dilworth, he does a lot of great metal art work where he cuts designs in radiator covers and 50-gallon drum lids and just all kinds of metal work like that. And then we have a table that, just random guess without knowing for sure. There's usually a set or two of tools or a case of oil or jewelry for the women or a cooler for cold drinks or warm drinks, or just whatever we get that's too nice for a door prize. We put it on the raffle table, and then you'll be surprised some of the stuff people want, and they come and they bid on it.
You know, one thing that we need to know is this Saturday and Sunday, what about food? Are they going to have any food vendors there at the Mini-Cassia Auto Collectors Car Show?
Well, this year, I guess, I'm not in charge of that anymore, but from what I've heard, there are going to be 4 food vendors there this year.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
We've always had at least 1 or 2 that either the secretary or the president was telling me that they'd had more vendors that want to come, and so I guess they told them that there was going to be other vendors there, because usually the ones before wouldn't come if there was competition. But this year, they're all 4 of them, I guess, are going to come and compete with each other, so it ought to be good.
All right.
A variety of different kinds of meals to eat.
Let me ask you this, and we talked about this last year, but I think it's worthy of saying it again. What about the different cars, whether it's a Corvette or if it's a Mustang or if it's a pickup, whatever? How big an area do these people bring their cars for this car show?
Well, several years back, we had a fellow come from Alaska, and there's been 1 or 2 come down from Canada, but most of them are within a state or 2. There's one guy that come from California for several years, and there's another fellow that moved down from Washington, and he was in a car club, and there's 2 or 3 of the members out of his club that bring their cars down to our car show. So, Utah and Wyoming and California, and there used to be a couple of pickups come from Nevada, but we don't know for sure, who's going to show up till they get here, even if they send a registration. But let me regress for a minute. You was asking about the meals.
Yes.
People that do bring their car and do show them, and they pay the admission fee to get in, they get a complimentary free steak dinner Saturday night and a free, what you call a chuck wagon breakfast Sunday morning.
Oh, my.
And, I mean, these are good dinners. It's not just something thrown together. These are planned out, and they're nice dinners.
Okay. Now, I was looking through the list of cars and pickups and everything that's going to be there, and it says low riders, and there's going to be imports and Corvettes, and then it says rat rods. What in the world is a rat rod?
Okay, I think we've only been having them the last, I'm going to go out on a limb and say 5 years, but they're something that's, in my opinion, is somebody's pride and joy that they have pieced together. They call them Franken cars because usually they got parts from every car maker available hooked onto them somewhere. But a lot of them are low to the ground. A lot of them are unpainted. A lot of them are no hoods, and some of them with no fenders. And I don't know, you got to be careful running over a worm dropping in the road because you're going to scrape the bottom. And that's whereas a regular lowrider is a real nice car that sets low. A rat rod lowrider sets low, but it looks like you just pulled it out of the wrecking yard or the barn. And all you got, they run nice, and there's quite a group that follows them and admires them. I like to look at them. I don't personally think I'd care to own one because I can't fold up and get down that low, and if I did, I'd never get out.
Well, let me ask you, are they kind of pieced together with multi-vehicles? It might be a Ford, Chevy, Oldsmobile, Pontiac parts all put together, or is that what you mean?
That's exactly what I mean.
Wow.
This old thing I drive, it's got boat parts and airplane parts on it, as well as Ford and Chevy and Pontiac and a couple of pieces of Dodge. But mine is not a rat rod, but if it wasn't painted and down about 6 inches lower, it'd probably pass for one.
Well, now, are you going to have all these cars like in different segments at different parts of the show? In other words, the rat rods will be in one place, and the other cars, the stocks and the modifieds will be in another place so they can really appreciate the differences?
Yes. Usually, if a group comes in, like a club from Chubbuck or a club from Boise or a club from Twin Falls, a lot of times they like to park together as a group, and then the Corvette clubs, a lot of them like to stick together, and the Rat Rods, they like to stick together. But I don't know if you know Casey Anderson or not.
Yes, I do.
But years ago, we designated him as the official car parker, and he just does an amazing job of keeping these cars straight. And the people that, like bring one car and they want to put it somewhere special, if that spot's available, he'll let them, and if it's not, he'll usually find them a spot that they're happy with.
I got to ask you this question, and it kind of reminds me of that old Johnny Cash song, Build It One Piece at a Time. But now on these Rat Rods, when you go to license these things, that must take like 2 weeks out of your life just to get the license, right?
I've never tried to license one of them. I know that if you got a serial number like off the firewall or a VIN number somewhere, after you get it done, you can have it inspected, and a lot of times they'll use that number. And on a couple of occasions, I know that whoever state or whoever comes and does your inspecting, can actually make you a serial number.
Oh my goodness! The Rat Rods, that kind of it really tickles my fancy, because I can't imagine they're just built helter skelter with different parts, and they sit real low to the ground, basically, right?
Right. One thing that's not common to all of them, but to a lot of them, is they usually have like vintage equipment on there. There'll be some war helmets, or there'll be some fist-sized skulls somewhere.
Oh, my.
Yeah, there's usually crosses painted on them somewhere. I don't know why they call them a Gothic cross or something that's kind of a weird-looking cross. But a lot of them are and I don't blame them. They're proud of them. And to them, that's why they're there. It's their pride and joy, and they want to show them off.
Well, I would imagine the Rat Rods, I just happen to think of this, they're probably a lot like that movie Mad Max, aren't they?
And yes, they are.
Okay.
And one thing that's neat is they kind of compete amongst themselves, the different ways they build them and decorate them and power them, and that's kind of neat to see them compete amongst themselves like that.
All right, tell us all the particulars one more time. It's coming up this weekend, June 3rd and 4th, the Minnecasia Auto Collectors Car Show at the Cache County Fairgrounds. Tell us everything real quick, Jimmy.
Okay, registration is from 7:30 to 11 o'clock on Saturday. The gates open at 9 o'clock on Saturday, and they'll run until 7 o'clock. Sunday, they open at 9 o'clock. And if you're not there prior to 5 o'clock, you won't get to see much left. 0 to 6 is free. 7 to 12 is $1. 13 to 69 is $3. And 70 and over is free. And I have 6 tickets that you can give away. Questions of your choice. You can give them singly. You can give them a pair. You can give a set each day up until the car show, or however you'd like to give them away. And whoever wins these, they will be available later this afternoon over at the radio station.
All right, tell you what, Jimmy, I'll start tomorrow giving some of those tickets away, and call me after the program. We'll get it all set up. I appreciated Jimmy Flowers on the program this morning with the 31st Annual Minnecasia Auto Collectors Car Show at the Cache County Fairgrounds coming up this next weekend. Jimmy, God bless you, man. Thanks for being on the program.
Well, thank you for all you do for the club, Zeb, and I'm proud to call you a friend.
You bet. Same at you, my friend. Thank you. God bless. Jimmy Flowers, and boy, when it comes to cars, he knows his cars, let me tell you. Hey, we've got to pay some bills here, and then we'll have our next guest on the program. Don't forget, when it comes to insurance and the coverage for your family, your home, and your business, I'm telling you, retirement planning, employee benefits, life insurance, health insurance, Insurance, you'd better get a hold of Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, 436-4424. You know, maybe you've got some questions about health insurance or life insurance or your employees with the benefit program, etc. They can help and they will help. Call them for an appointment today. 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Highway 24 in Rupert. And you know what? When you're over that way, 270 Highway 24 in Rupert is the home of Let's Ride. Oh, my goodness, where the fun is sold. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4, and they've got all the four-wheelers, the 4x4s. They've got all the side-by-sides. They've got it all for you, and the watercraft. With the warmer temperatures, boys and girls, hit the water and have some fun, lakes and ponds and rivers. Oh my goodness, now's the time to get out and enjoy the great outdoors. And Let's Ride has all the accessories too, and a fantastic service department. So don't put it off. Get over there today. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold at Let's Ride. Really, really good people. You know, when I talk about really, really good people, we are so fortunate, and I mean that, to have a state senator that, boy, I tell you what, he is a home run. He works hard. He's very diligent about calling people back. He's very diligent about following up on issues. And I'll tell you what, we're going to have him on the air right now. I say good morning to Senator Kelly Anthon. How are you, sir?
Zeb?
Yes.
This is Representative Fred Wood. You have a last-minute substitution for Kelly Anthon.
Well, that is all right. I was not aware of that. And how are you, my dear friend?
I'm doing very well, and I did phone in. As soon as Kelly called me, he had an unexpected event just happen and couldn't make it. So he apologizes. I apologize, but I'm happy to come on, Deb. I really appreciate it.
No, that's fine. As a matter of fact, I'm blessed to have you on the air and take his stead. But I'll tell you what, when I heard your voice, I thought this is Kelly with a cold or something because I didn't recognize his voice.
Well, I'm sorry about that, but he'll make amends later.
No, not a problem. Fred, some of the issues, maybe you had a chance to find out what we were going to talk about, but I'll just be very blunt. Right now, in front of my home, they are doing the resurfacing of Highway 30, which is great, and I appreciate all their efforts. However, I think there has to be some combined thought on how are we going to stop this from having it happen again, because the heavy trucks are going to eat up and destroy that road again this next winter. What are your thoughts about the heavy trucks and the repaving of a lot of these roads in this area?
Well, first of all, I'm not against heavy trucks at all, but if you're going to run heavy trucks, then you have to go back and say, okay, so why do we build roads? And under what purpose do we build roads? Well, we build it for commerce, but roads are built and designed and engineered on three premises. One, weight of vehicles. Two, volume of vehicles. And three, safety. And you're exactly right with respect to what is damaging the roads. But, you know, most of our road beds, Zeb, aren't built for 129,000-pound trucks.
That's right.
I'm not against them at all, providing the weight is distributed evenly, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, you're right. They're just going to break it up again unless it's properly constructed, and I don't see that happening. I think this is just a patch.
You know, and it's a shame because it's at great taxpayer expense, and we don't have that extra money right now, nor should we have to spend that extra money and look forward to 2018 and have the same problem come back and hit us in the face again. What can we do, though, Fred?
Well, I think you have to go back, and it takes time. And whatever you can do to patch it until you can have the time to re-engineer it, including the road bed. But you can do that fairly quickly in some of our worst, and some of our worst are like Highway 30 between Twin Falls and Burley. There's a lot of heavy truck traffic going down that road, and they need to literally re-engineer the roadbed and then build it so that they can haul the heavy trucks. And you may have to put up with a little bit of worse roads in the meantime, but that's what really needs to happen.
Well, I'm not an expert like you are on this subject, but I will tell you this much by watching and looking and observing as to what's being done, by basically peeling off the road surface and recycling that asphalt, heating it up, laying it again. You're not doing anything more than just restoring the pad that was there. You're not helping the undercurrent of the road. You're not providing a better road base. And like you said, with the heavy trucks, we're going to see the same swale in the road. We're going to see the same potholes appear. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong at all. I'm not an expert at all in transportation. That's not what I deal with in the legislature, et cetera. So, but that's the way I think, exactly like you do. I mean, that isn't going to solve the problem of 129,000 pounders going down the road unless your roadbed can actually withstand that. Because if your roadbed can't, then underlying that pavement is just, they're just going to break it up.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware, we are visiting with Representative Fred Wood, another dear friend of this program, and he's acting in the stead of Senator Kelly Anthon this morning. And Kelly had an emergency meeting to take care of. But Fred, I thank you so much for being on the program. One of the other items that we were going to talk about with Kelly was economic development here in the state of Idaho. And I think that we've got a lot of good things going on. What are your thoughts?
We do have a lot of good things going on. I think if you look at what Idaho has done since the Great Recession, an awful lot of that has been because of economic development, thinking outside of the box, and the willingness on the part of state government to try to reduce regulations and get the people back to work. I think the state has done a very good job with respect to economic development. If you look just in the local area, the number of businesses that we have gotten in the local area in the last 10 years, and the number of jobs that those businesses have created, I think we've done a wonderful job. I really do, Zeb.
When you look at the overall picture of the state of Idaho, and I don't want to compare it with other states, but boy, we've got a lot of pluses. We look to the West Coast, and you're looking at California, a state that is absolutely subservient to all the bills and increasing poverty and just mayhem. We're doing pretty doggone good here in the state of Idaho, aren't we?
That's why everybody's moving to Idaho. Idaho, I think, is the fourth fastest growing state in the United States, and that's the reason people are coming here.
What about
Boise, Idaho is like the number 3 city of its size to live in the United States. I mean, that's saying something, Zeb.
What is it that we do right here? I mean, I know we've got a balanced budget. I know that people are really careful about what takes place and very wary about anything that's going to cost a lot of money and needlessly. And when you look at other states, and I'm comparing it to California, what's wrong with those people down there that they can't see that they're going deeper and deeper in debt? And then on the other hand, here we have a legislature and you and others that are very careful, and we've got money saved for rainy days. My goodness, we should be held in esteem by almost all the Northwest.
Well, if you talk to other legislators, we are. I mean, the amount of money that we have in the bank, we balance our budget every year. The bills are paid, etc., in a timely manner. There's no smoke and mirrors in balancing the budget or anything like that. The people in the know really respect Idaho for how we manage the state affairs. The problem is if you get to the interest groups, then that's a different story. And unfortunately, that's where the news media gets all of its news, is from the interest groups. and not so much from state government and the people who understand how state government operates and what the state is trying to do to promote economic development and get businesses into the state of Idaho, and good-paying businesses with good-paying jobs. That's critical.
You know, when you talk about that, and we also, in many occasions in the past, you and I have talked about keeping our youth here, being able to provide a good living for them and their future families. I don't see that we're that far out of line. And one of the things that really bothers me, and I've talked about this with you in the past, are some of the advertisements that you see on television and hear on the radio about, education in Idaho is so much less and we've got to ship these kids out of state. I look at that as a total negative, and I think the people that are trying to create that image, they are doing nothing but harm to the state of Idaho and to our students. What are your thoughts?
Well, I would agree with that. And all you have to do is look at two or three specifics to prove exactly what you're saying. First of all, if our educational system is so bad, then why do we have above the average number of students attending professional schools? And the one that I do know about is medical school. But we're in the top half of the nation that sends college graduates on to medical school. Now, we can't have a poor educational system and have that statistic be out there. Secondly, if you talk to businesses, the number one interest that businesses have when they move here, the first question out of their mouth is always the following. Okay, so what is your working pool like? What is the educational status of the employee pool that I'm going to go to? Well, we have two things going for us. First of all, we have a community college system that can gear up in a matter of months and train a large employee pool for employers to go out and hire from. And secondly, the legislature, on a percent basis, has committed to expend an extraordinary amount of money. And we've done that in the last 3 years. We're going to increase it in the next 2 years per the 5-year plan that the legislature committed to. Now, everybody can look around and see that and say, wow, Idaho really means educating their kids. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that, again, you and I have talked about in the past, and I think it bears repeating on this segment this morning, is that for years and years on my program, I have said that there's been way too much of a push for all kids to go to college or universities. And I think they've neglected the trade schools, to be electricians, to become plumbers. And now those are high-dollar jobs, great income jobs, but there's not enough of them. I know for a fact that we have a severe shortage of the trades, and are we going to start making it aware to these students that the trade schools can offer them a very prosperous living?
I think that's one of the things that we have failed to do, is to educate the population that the trade professions at this point in time actually are higher wage earners than an awful lot of the, quotes, desirable professions, end quotes, unless you're right at the top of those professions and have been in them for a while. But you take any good diesel mechanic, airline mechanic, an established plumber, particularly electricians, and on-by-the-hour welders, et cetera, they all make more than the average state employee makes.
Absolutely. Earlier we were talking about economic development. I forgot to ask you, what about companies that basically said, I'm out of here, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to maybe go overseas, etc. Is there a hand being extended to them to come back to the state of Idaho and really refurbish the business climate here in the state?
Well, now you're getting into something that we could talk about for quite a while, but there's a significant myth in the United States that we no longer manufacture very much. The problem is that's not correct. We are manufacturing more and more in the United States. The problem is all of the manufacturing is now becoming automated. It's all becoming computerized. Not long ago, I toured a fairly new logging or lumber cutting operation up in northern Idaho. I forget how many board feet of lumber per 24 hours that mill can put out. And, Zeb, there's only 11 people per shift in that mill.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all computerized, and most of those people are dealing with nothing but quality control. That's the problem with respect to good-paying jobs. So you do have to get to the professions such as welding, etc., and electricians, etc., to start increasing people's income and a better grade of living and a better standard of living.
You know, though, Fred, you really touched on a topic like we could go on for a long period of time, whether it's the minimum pay job supposedly at a fast food restaurant or going to, like you said, lumber cutting at a lumber yard, etc. What about the mechanization? What about the roboticized attitude of replacing human beings with machines? This is going to get more and more. Are we going to be seeing much more percentage of unemployment all across the United States?
I think that's one of the, well, we're pretty low unemployment now, but that's one of the big reasons for the unemployment that we actually have is because of automation and mechanization. And I don't know the answer to that. I mean, that you could argue the philosophy of that forever, and I'm not sure there's a right answer to that. I think there has to be a balance of that, but what that is, I don't know.
Fred, one topic, and I've only got a couple of minutes left, but I wanted to ask you about this morning. My old home state of Wisconsin is going to implement, and I'm doing this off the cuff, I don't have the paper right in front of me, but they're going to implement stringent requirements for those that are going to apply for Medicaid and make sure that they don't have a history of drug abuse, etc., so they're not taking advantage, if you will, of the system. I have said for a long time in my program that when it comes to welfare recipients, etc., we need to screen these people a lot more to make sure, and I'm going to use the term, we don't have a lot of deadbeats that are scamming the system and taking money out of your and my pocket. Do you think I'm wrong in my thoughts?
No. Previously, the feds wouldn't allow that. Now, the current administration may be getting around to where they're going to allow that. And it wasn't that the feds actually specifically prohibited. What they said is that's great. Go out and test for drug usage, but when you find it, you have to treat it. And of course, nobody wanted to go down that road because that's a significant a chunk of change. Now, whether or not, if they'll change what has been the previous policy and say when you find it, you don't have to treat it. You can just kick them out of the program or not let them on the program. That would be a different ballgame.
Well, the liberal left in this country, and I don't have to tell you this, you're very much aware of it as a state legislature, you know that they want basically an all-encompassing Medicaid program, welfare program, to where anybody and everybody qualifies regardless of the circumstances. We can't afford to keep going on that level. We've got to decipher who really is qualified and who isn't. We're losing too much money.
Yeah, and the real problem with that is we have to figure out how we're going to deal with that, because in 1986 Congress passed the Emergency Medical Treatment and Active Labor Act, which in effect declared that health care is a right in the United States, and you can get health care whether you can pay for it or not. Congress has got to decide what they're going to do with that law
before, because we're paying for it now one way or the other. And we're paying for it in a very inefficient manner, and the highest cost manner that we could possibly pay for that kind of a program. That whole dang thing needs to be redone, because you're not going to accomplish what you need to accomplish going down the road of what the feds have been trying to do.
Absolutely. Fred, I've got about 3 minutes left in this segment. Anything as an issue that you'd like to lay out in front of the public that perhaps you're working on during the summer months?
Okay, so I've got 3 things I'm working on, Zeb. About a month ago, the Speaker and the Pro Tem put together a working group of 5 House members and 5 Senate members, and the Speaker asked me to co-chair that, along with Senator Patty Ann Lodge of the Senate, on campaign finance reform. We had an organizational meeting 2 weeks ago. We're having our first full-day meeting on July the 12th. And so we're going to get down the road of trying to figure out how we bring a lot more transparency to lobbying efforts in terms of tracking money, who the money comes from, where the money goes, etc. That's probably going to be a 2-year effort, but we're going to try to come up with a bunch of legislation this year to try to bring a lot more transparency to campaign finance.
Absolutely.
Secondly, I'm co-chairing an interim committee on employee group health insurance. We're sustaining increases on an annual basis that are just unsustainable. So I'm co-chairing that along with Senator Lakey. We've hired an expert, and we intend to bring to the legislature recommendations of how we reform the group health program for state employees. And then thirdly, I co-chair the Millennium Fund Committee, and we're meeting in the interim to try and figure out the master tobacco settlement money coming in now has gotten to where it's about $15 million a year, enough that we can make significant impacts to some particular program. And so we're going to have interim committee meetings of the Millennium Fund here during the summer. So those are the 3 things, those 3 interim committees I'm co-chairing, and we'll see what we can come up with.
All right, we have time for one quick caller. Caller, go ahead fast, real fast, please.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. Some years ago, I had called Boise about the fact that when we're in our local market, these people are coming out with baskets of food and driving away in brand new vehicles. These are the ones on welfare. Will anything ever be done about that?
I'll ask Representative Wood. Fred, he shares a concern a lot of us have, that there seems to be abuse of the system, and would you respond quickly to that?
The SNAP program, or the Supplemental Nutrition Program that the feds have, which is food stamps, is a program that is 100% administered by the federal government. The state doesn't even appropriate the money for that. That is a straight federal pass-through, and the state literally doesn't have much to do with that. The only thing the state has to do with it is manage at the state level, manage the eligibility system. We've looked at that and how they abuse it with the assets. Unfortunately, the feds put down that there's no asset test for that. So, yeah, you can be, unfortunately, you can be doing that kind of stuff and get away with it.
Fred, I wished I had...
The state can do anything about.
I wished I had more time, but I want to say this personally to you. Thank you so much for filling in and saving me on the time segment. Representative Fred Wood jumping in here this morning and filling in for Senator Kelly Anthon. Fred, God bless you, man. Have a wonderful summer, and we'll look forward to having you back on the air.
Zeb, anytime. Happy to come back. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. A really nice gentleman that I've enjoyed working with on many, many program segments, and that's Representative Fred Wood from Burley, and filling in at the last moment for Senator Kelly Anthon. Kelly got, I believe, called to another meeting, and so I appreciate the teamwork in making sure that I was covered for this time segment. Thank you very much. Holy cow, we got to get a weather forecast on here, and the weather brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. They've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. The best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, and so much more. 2 locations to serve you, 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 620 5th Street in Rupert. I highly urge you, because that's where Deanne and I go, to go see these folks. They can and will help you. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's the weather.
It's going to be a beautiful day today. Wear the sunscreen. Looking at sunny skies. A little bit on the breezy side. High of 85 tonight. Looks like clear skies with a low of 55. Tomorrow, more clouds are going to be rolling in, so we're looking at partly cloudy skies. Winds bumping up just a little bit. High of 88 with an overnight low of 58. Temperatures dropping to 70 under cloudy skies for Thursday. Overnight low of 50. And then back up to sunny skies and 77 for Friday. Looks like mid-80s for Saturday. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you. Brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. CPAs. They are the best, serving the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. Get a hold of them today in Burley and Rupert for all of your questions regarding your own family situations, your business situation, partnerships, corporations. They can and will help. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Want to also say a big thank you for being on our program for a long, long time, and that's been the Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, number to remember, 436-3200. They make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place for your loved ones. And you know what? They invite you to come by the facility anytime for tours and check them out. They really are involved with making the stay there at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center one that is just like a family situation, with barbecues on the backyard patio and visiting various events, Wilson Theater, the 4th of July in Rupert, etc. Locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cash area, Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. We are, next half hour, going to have Dr. History on the program. He just walked in the door a few moments ago, so right now we're going to send it back over to our main studios, and old Wheels is going to play a little music and take us up to CBS News. I'll be back in 7. Go ahead, buddy. Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning. I tell you what, this program has got to be moved outside. Dr. History, grab your microphone. We're out of here, man. This is nice outside. We're going to have Dr. History momentarily, so stand by. I want to remind everybody, Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and, of course, some of our great advertisers, like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Hey, there's going to be a great big horse sale. Dr. History, you better pay attention to this. This is a good horse sale, really good horse sale. The JJ Quarter Horse Sale, and that's going on, production sale, this coming weekend, June 3rd, and it's going to be under the big white tent at Jed Jacobs Arena in Sugar City, Idaho. The best of rope horses, the best of all around, really well-broke ranch horses, and these horses will work for you. The preview starts at 10 in the morning. Sale begins at noon. For more information, contact Jed Jacobs at 390-4144. Jade Stoddard at 308-3885. Selling over 40 head, and these are going to be ripping good horses. So make sure you're up there at JJ Quarter Horses production sale this coming weekend, June 3rd in Sugar City. Right now it's time for the one, the only Dr. History, and he's on our program. Zeb at the Ranch has been for many, many years. And a good morning, Doctor. How are you?
I am great. Beautiful day out there, sunny sunny. Oh, nice.
We've waited for this.
This is so nice.
We have waited for this with bated breath,
Yes.
and you and I have been begging for warmer temperatures, blue skies, and it is here.
Right. And I just mentioned to you what a great day I had Saturday riding my motorcycle with the veterans,
That
the
would've been
combat
nice.
veterans in a fundraiser, and what a great patriotic weekend, really.
You know, it was. I mean, it really was Memorial Day, and I urged everybody last week to just stop, pause, reflect on what has been given to them.
Yep.
Because of the sacrifices of others. I mean, we live in the greatest country in the world, but we've got to take care of it.
We do.
Absolutely. I salute you for going on that ride.
Well, I'm saluting myself for not crashing.
And there's others on the ride that are also saluting you for
That's
not
true.
crashing.
Anyway, so last week, Zeb, you requested Indian medicine.
You know, let me ask you this. I've read a lot of books, and there are a lot of them on the various bookcases in my office, that the Indians per se, whether they were the Shoshone or whether they were the Sioux or whether they were the Cheyenne or whatever tribe, they really had some innovative ideas on medicine, didn't they?
And that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay, go ahead.
So, you know, through thousands of years of trial and error, humans found methods of treatment for wounds and illnesses. They had to. So in North America, of course, the Native Americans were the first caregivers, and by the time the American colonies were settled, the quality of medical practice of the Indian was at least comparable and maybe even better than that of the European people. So, you know, the Indian men and women had identified lots of herbs to treat common illnesses. They knew about things to break a fever, tonics, astringents, antiseptics, and natural remedies. And the native healers also understood the value of massage, bandages, splints, suturing. Get that, Zeb? Suturing.
Really?
Applied heat and enemas. Okay. Sweat lodges and...
I'm sure glad you brought that one
Well,
up. Yeah.
This show may... I'm just warning you ahead of time, Zeb. I'm going to get into some stuff here.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, sweat lodges and bathing in natural hot springs were used to treat lung diseases, skin disorders, rheumatism. The Indian also valued rest, nutrition, fluid intake in maintaining good health. Some native healers became specialized and developed skills that gained them a degree of renown among their peers. So, you know, we look at today, we have specialists that do certain things, and I had never thought of that before, but they had certain shaman or medicine men that were maybe very good at one particular part of healing.
Let me ask you this question. You know, I know the records probably aren't there because, you know, they were a people that didn't record their history. You know, unless
Right.
it was paintings on the wall in a cave or whatever. But how do we know how they knew what to do? I mean, is there some way we can go back in history and learn how they learned that information?
Okay. To learn how they learned it,
Yeah.
I don't think we do. The knowledge we have today is basically from white men that went and lived among the Indians. And they're the ones that wrote down what we know about what they used. And some things they used that they still didn't know what it was.
Really?
So, but you know, actually ancient surgeons knew how to do a technique called trephining of a skull. Okay, that is basically, they used like a circular saw
Oh, my goodness.
to remove a circular portion of bone from the skull.
Okay.
And they did that to relieve intracranial pressure.
How did they know?
You know,
I don't mean to keep asking these
Yeah.
questions, and I'm not trying to be naive about this, but really, when you look back 200-300 years, and you say that they did this, you have to have some kind of a resource that says, well, they must have had a symptomatic for this, that, or the other thing.
and how somebody decided, you know what, let's cut a hole in this guy's skull.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, you know, and you might look at it this way. Okay, maybe the guy's going to die anyway. So at this point, okay.
well, aren't you the eternal optimist?
Let's just do something,
Yeah.
even if it's wrong. And so they would actually cut this circular piece of the skull out to relieve the pressure.
Oh, my goodness.
And even from...
And no anesthetic.
Oh, no. Well, we don't think, but maybe the guy was out anyway.
Yeah,
My. But, pressure from a depressed skull, from fractures, the guy had to have skull fractures, which was a common injury at the time. Now, the Incas actually used spike clubs of copper or stone to settle their disagreements, so that gave surgeons a lot of practice. That this surgery was successful and prolonging some lives is evident from the healing around these cuts that they have discovered in discovered skeletons.
Really?
Yeah. So now here's this too, Zeb. They had obsidian knives that were as sharp as any surgical knife.
You're kidding.
The obsidian. They had copper forceps. They had suture material of human or animal hair, and analgesic substances derived from the cocoa and other plants. They used a fine mesh cotton gauze. Crude antiseptics, together with the knowledge of anatomy, allowed these Indians surgeons to perform actually amputations, treat fractures, and remove arrows.
Don't you feel like I do sometimes that when we get to looking back in history, not necessarily just our Western culture here in the United States, but way back, that maybe the rise and decline of civilization shows that other lifestyles and other people of the world maybe were farther advanced than we were?
Well, I don't have this in my notes today, but if you look at China, the emperors, their doctor's job was to keep the emperor healthy, because if the emperor died, so did their doctors.
Oh, they were working 24/7.
They wanted that guy to live a long time.
Is there such a thing as leaving the practice?
I don't think so. So anyway, getting back to the Old West, okay, in later centuries, the Indians did not commonly perform surgery other than the occasional, like lancing of an abscess and other superficial procedures. Most of the native doctor's methods were non-invasive, but he could on occasion enter the mouth to treat a problem with an animal bladder as a syringe and a hollow bone as a tube, and these were used to clean the entire lower intestine, to instill herbal concoctions, or to give nutrients.
Well, now we're close to lunch. There goes all those advertisers.
I've got more, Zeb. I'm not done.
Can you tip that mic down? Just
sure. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
So anyway, as white explorers and the immigrants came west, some of them witnessed and recorded the Indians' medical expertise. And this is where I say we get most of our knowledge from these people that saw what happened.
Yeah.
So according to those reports, medicine men produced some miraculous cures. In 1721, a guy by the name of Pierre Charlevoix, obviously French, described what he called admirable results. Okay, a broken bone that was perfectly solid in 8 days.
Now wait a minute.
Okay, don't. I'm just giving you the message, Zeb.
Wow.
8 days.
8 days.
Now. Anyway, now another account reported the case of a French soldier cured of epilepsy by a pulverized root. And who knows what that is? Because, the people that saw this, they didn't know what it was, some kind of a root. Now,
stop. I mean, if there was any historical record of that, and you could go back in history and trace that, I mean, wouldn't that be more than appropriate to study for today?
Sure, you bet. And herbology is a huge thing now, and people are studying it more and more to learn what helps. But there's a book called Doctors in the American Frontier, and there's a guy named Richard Dunlop, and he described how a Cheyenne doctor treated William Bent of Bent's Fort for a throat infection, and they thought it might actually be diphtheria. So here's what he did. Quote.
Oh, this is going to be good. I can feel it.
The medicine man strung a sinew with sand burrs. Okay, that's like a cocklebur.
Yeah.
All right, got it. Dipped it into hot buffalo tallow, fat, right? This he forced down Bent's throat with a peeled stick. When the tallow melted, he jerked the string out, pulling the infected membrane with it. Bent survived. What's for lunch?
I'm sitting here. I don't think I could make a face worse than what I have right now. I mean, holy, repeat that again. He put cockleburrs on there?
Okay, now let me read it again.
Okay.
Quote, the medicine man strung a sinew, like a string. Okay.
Like it's about maybe 2-3 feet long.
Right.
Okay.
With sandburrs, which I can only assert is like a cocklebur.
They are sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now he dips.
And he stuck those on the
sinew.
Yeah.
Okay, so he dips it into hot buffalo tallow. Okay.
Oh.
This he then forced, which gives
he
me
made the guy swallow it.
Yeah, which I get the impression Bent wasn't really gung-ho on this procedure.
Well, duh.
So, anyway, he says he forced it down Bent's throat with a peeled stick. Okay?
Oh, my gosh.
When the tallow melted, he jerked the string out, pulling the infected membrane with it. So I guess that was your first eye, ear, nose, and throat guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, do not do this at home.
Now, another observer, his name is Jonathan Carver, he witnessed the use of a plantain, which is not the banana, but it is a plant that has never been identified. But they called it a plantain, which I've always thought was like a banana. You've seen those probably. But as an
why am I cringing further away from
you? We're okay. We're okay now. But anyway, this plantain that's never been identified as an antidote to venomous snake bites.
You're kidding.
Now, according to his report, the Indians were even willing to demonstrate its potency by allowing a snake to bite them, then spitting the chewed herb onto the wound. Rattlesnakes, of course, were abundant on the plains, and bites were common. And another popular treatment was a brew of the root of the rattlesnake weed. And it's got the technical name Echinacea angustifolia.
Echinacea?
Yeah, which
Isn't there something today?
Oh, yeah, that use that for colds and flus and stuff. So, anyway, this rattlesnake weed would be poured into the fang punctures. And it wasn't hard to convince the early frontiersmen to use similar methods. I mean, it worked.
It did?
Yeah. But Plains people, and early white traders used a related species called pale purple coneflower. And that its technical name also is Echinacea pallida. So this echinacea must be a common, and that was for rattlesnake bites or as well as for insect stings.
Got a question for you, Dr.
I knew you would.
Yes, I do. I mean, did they keep this stuff on hand in case of snake bites, or did all of a sudden somebody say, I just got bit by a snake, go find that flower?
Well, now that's a good question, because my thought is, are some of these herbs that they got in the and dried them and kept them on hand, or did they have to be fresh?
There you go.
So
there you go.
I don't know.
Well, you better check on that.
I better find out. Anyway,
call the medicine man, would you?
I'll do that. But modern medicine is skeptical of some of the stories of Indian healing methods, but we can't be sure. Scientists continue to search for answers to the mystery of Native Americans, Indians, but thing to keep in mind, Zeb, is that a lot of the tribes have guarded specific details from outsiders.
When you were talking about snakes, though, I have asked you on many programs, how in the world did the Indians survive? Because the kids are all playing. I've read a lot of stories where many, many children were bitten.
Yeah, but if they had the cure, and I don't think they probably saved everybody. But obviously they had something that worked. But anyway, there was one frustrated Seneca Indian elder. He was a respected medicine man, and he said to his families when strangers arrive, he said, quote, hide the sacred things, the big heads are coming.
Hide this. Well, we've said that about our relatives, too.
Hide the sacred things. So the Indians kind of wanted to keep things, secret, so to speak.
Yeah.
Anyway, most early Christian observers could not understand the rituals of the Native American healers and viewed their practices kind of a pagan thing, even sacrilegious. To the few outsiders who looked beyond the medicine man's pageantry, it was obvious that many Indian cures were as effective as those prescribed by European doctors, if not better, if not more so.
Did they keep something written down, or it was
just passed down. It was just passed down, and in order to become a medicine man, I don't remember the details now. You had to work with the medicine man for like 8 or 10 years or 12 years before you could be considered a medicine man.
Really?
So he had to learn from the medicine man and the Indian women, I'm sure, too. But another thing white culture could not fathom was the way Native Americans viewed mental illness. Indians, and now this is a surprise to me, Zeb, because I always thought they were kind of afraid of people with mental...
Yeah, they thought that they were basically taboo.
Right. But I didn't realize this, but it says Indians actually tolerated insane people and treated them with kindness. Most medicine men understood human nature, and they were actually successful in treating something we call hysteria.
Really?
Yeah, and these practices, contrast sharply with the brutal way that the men...
I wonder if they'd come back today and work with the Democrats.
They could. Oh, you always go down that road. Anyway, you compare that with what the white people did to mentally ill people years ago. I mean, they put them in insane asylums. They use shock treatments. They do, all kinds of things. Anyway, so let's just keep going here, Zeb. Quit smiling.
You mentioned something earlier before we run out of time, and I know you're going to do it to me, so I'm just going to go ahead and ask you. You mentioned about they performed enemas?
Let's just move right along,
okay.
Zeb. They did whatever it took. Okay. Now, another thing that's kind of interesting is the Native American viewed the word medicine in a totally different form than we do in the white world, because religion and healing were inseparable. Okay. The spiritual and the physical were entwined. So, there's a lot of Indians that saw disease as a disturbed relationship between humans and the supernatural world. Now, according to one tribe, dwarf spirits caused disease by shooting invisible arrows into people. There were also some taboos, such as eating food prepared by a woman that was menstruating, women, or using cruel words, or violence against a friend or loved one. Ignoring a taboo could bring on pain, weakness, illness, or injury. So there was some taboos there that, of course, we look at it now and say, no, that...
Yeah, kind of some hokey-pokey stuff. Yeah.
But, over thousands of years, Indians developed a combination of healthcare and religion that was complicated, ritualistic, yet also practical and sensible. The Indian found therapy not only in ceremonial prayer, chanting, and the sounds of a drum or a rattle, but also in the laying on of hands and, get this, Zeb, counseling. Counseling,
Really?
The sweat lodge, comparable to a sauna, was important to religion as a place for prayer and purification. But it was also therapeutic, and we know that now.
Well, let me ask you, all of a sudden the name escapes me. Help me. The Indian tribes, South America, that were so...
Incas
they were so well advanced over civilization at that time, and they died off, and we have no records of anything, do we?
Just, like I said, the skeletons that they found with holes in their skull from surgery, healed. So,
wow.
But these rituals that were conducted in this sweat lodge, there was an aromatic herb that they used to use sometimes. But the sweat lodges, were used as an ancient form of therapy.
And you wonder, after all you're saying, in all sincerity, how did they know? Where did they learn this?
One thing too, Zeb, I found in reading this is that different tribes kind of had some different things.
Did they?
So there's some things that were unique to a particular tribe and maybe something unique to another tribe.
Really?
Yeah. So I know
it wasn't just kind of all taken in by all tribes.
No, there were different things across the country.
I see.
Now, to many Indians, medicine meant a charm, and each group kept in its teepee a medicine bundle that contained the spirits of the, quote, helpers it needed for healthy survival. Probably the herbs and stuff. But bundles contained a variety of articles that were deemed sacred based on a tribe's myths and traditions. Now, some of these items might include animal skins, headdresses, shields, knives, pipes, bones, arrowheads, or other things of significance to the tribal history or to that individual.
The tools of the trade are what really infatuate me to the point where I'm sitting there going, how did they know how to build them, and how did they build them?
Well, even to figure out how to suture a wound.
My goodness.
So, but
and the pain factor, those people, when they went to the doctor, it was not a pleasant experience.
No. But, this thing they had in their bundle, that gave them great power, they figured.
Really?
And it was treated very specially. well, I know we're about out of time here, Zeb.
I am, but I got to ask you this.
Okay.
What about tooth problems? And the reason I said that, I got a toothache this morning. What did they do then?
I've got a story in this book
bet you do.
About dentistry in the old days, and
it's probably going to make me cringe.
More so than what we've just talked about.
Oh no!
Now, quick thing, Zeb. It was common for the Indians to leave the old to perish on the prairies. Okay.
Really?
The severely injured adults and children alike were also regularly abandoned to their fate.
Oh my.
In the Crow and other tribes, custom accepted this infanticide to control population, especially during famine or drought. And the kind of behavior may seem cruel, but it served the common good.
So they basically practiced infanticide?
Yeah. So if you had a sick baby or an injured or an older person,
how cruel!
There was a point where you just kind of left them, and that does sound bad. I know. Wow. I've heard of them in the wintertime having an older person live outside.
Next week, I'm only down to a minute left, but next week you're going to talk about the Old West dentists.
I'll see what I can find.
That's what I'm afraid of. And there is nobody that fears a dentist more than I do.
Oh, I got to admit, I'm not a faithful...
And you've got a story that'll curl my hair.
I probably do.
I bet you do. Doctor History, you did it again. Very interesting.
Oh, real quick, I know some listeners don't know, but you go to the internet and type in Dr. History or Podcasts of the Old West on Google, and I come up, or in iTunes. Okay. You'll find type in the Dr. History or Podcasts of the Old West. Then you can listen anytime you want.
Okay. Good deal. Thank you, Dr. History. Don't run away. I got to talk to you for a minute. Hey, every Thursday, don't forget Cassia County School Days. And, boy, we've got some interesting people every week on that segment at 10:10 on Thursdays. Brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Remember, hundreds of summer dresses have arrived, and you can save big, big money. So stop in there today and see A Child's World. And also all the Cherokee scrubs and the shoes. Oh, my goodness. It's a family store serving you at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, along with the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley for your outpatient surgeries and save you money. Absolutely on life-saving colonoscopies, glaucoma surgery, much, much more. Call them at 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you school days in Cassia County. And right now, we're going to send this back over to our main studios. I'll be back in about 3 minutes with the Monday version of Vicky's Country Garden.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, thank you much. Don't forget our friends at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. They're the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area, and they absolutely would like you to stop by, visit their location and their facility anytime for tours and check them out for your loved ones. They make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place. Please remember the address and the name, 924 Christian Way in Rupert, Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Well, right now, because yesterday was Monday and today is Tuesday, and sometimes we intertwine the two because we need to get some people on the air and find out about what's going on. It's Monday, but it's Tuesday, and here's Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. How we doing?
We finally got what we prayed for. Blue skies, sunshine, warmer temperatures. Oh, I love it.
Yep, we've got just exactly the temperatures we're needing right now to get these gardens up and going and flourishing, and hopefully we don't get any more of those miserable hard rains right away. Give these gardens a chance to kind of stand up and take a breath of nice clean air and grow for a while.
Well, let me ask you this, from the brr, it's cold outside, to the whoo, it's hot outside. What about what's already been planted? I mean, is that going to suffer with the change?
Well, they're going to struggle a little bit, but don't get carried away with watering on them. We still have got cool nights, so they're not drying out that bad. Before you water plants, even though they might look like they're a little wilted, it could be just a heat factor on them. Take a minute, dig down in the soil around your plants. If you get down a half inch or even an inch down where the roots are at and you've got moisture, then don't water heavy. We've had a lot of rain. We've had a lot of cool nights. They're not drying that much. Don't get them too wet. Just because they're a little droopy, they could be reacting to the hot sun.
Okay. Now, I have
Too much water can be a damaging factor.
Yeah, you keep telling us that, and I think people, they don't realize that they've got to be really careful with the watering. Let me ask you this. We have a letter, and I'm going to paraphrase a lot of this. And this lady says, my garden is on the east side of my house. And it sounds like it's really close. And she said, did I put the garden too close to the buildings, or is that not a factor?
Well, being too close to the buildings is not going to be a factor. It's going to protect them out of that west wind that we get such bad winds from. The only thing that would worry me is possibly the sun factor, because they're going to shade up, by about noon, 1 o'clock. Things might ripen a little slower and that type of thing without, that full amount of sun. Basically, again, it'll be a watering issue. You're not going to have to water as much because they are going to be in the shade and be a little cooler during the hot part of the afternoon. So kind of watch the watering on it. But it just may take a little bit longer for things to set on and ripen and finish without that hot sun. But they should still get enough sun to go ahead and make.
Okay. Now, we also had a question in regards to compost. A lady wrote in, and she said, every time I listen to you and Vicki talk, you talk about composting, etc. What is compost, and what's it comprised of?
Okay, compost can be a lot of different things. A lot of people make their own compost with their grass clippings and leaves and their garden, their vegetables that like potato peelings and even coffee grounds and some of the extra thing, the old lettuce, your vegetables that you throw away out of your out of your coolers, and that can all be worked into a compost pile, but it has to be layered and turned and completely composted down to where it looks just like dirt when it's done. Then we have, of course, the manure compost, which is what most people use, and that is basically the corrals that are cleaned out. It's piled up. It's got straw in it. It is turned and turned and turned and heated to about 180 degrees to kill all of the weed seeds that are in there, and they keep turning it until it's not hot anymore like manure, and it looks more like dirt. It breaks down to a real fine dirt-like look to it, and that's compost. Doesn't have a lot of nutrition in it other than a little bit of phosphate, because the nitrogen has all been used to break itself down and form and put the compost, make the compost out of it. But it has a lot of natural organisms, the microorganisms in that we need in the soil. It's a very good soil additive.
Now, we also had a letter that kind of reverts back to what we talked a couple of weeks ago, and you gave a very good answer on this. And the letter is, with the warmer temperatures that are looming on the horizon, hot days means bugs. What should we be doing to protect our garden from bugs?
We are going to get in. The bugs are going to come alive now with all of the warm weather and that type of thing. Again, you need to spend time in your flowers and your gardens, looking at your plants, looking at the backside of your leaves and things of that nature to catch on to to see what's going on. Aphids are little tiny microscopic green little bugs that will come up the stems on your plants and be on the backside of your leaf. And they're a little sucking insect, literally, and they suck the life right out of your plants. And you need to get those under control and get them killed. On vegetable plants and that, you can't use a systemic, so you're going to have to use like a 7, a spinosad, a lot of different things of that nature. Onions are going to start getting the flies. It's going to be laying the eggs. The maggot comes through the top of the onions, goes down through it and into your ground. So you have to stop him in the top. So you have to spray over the top of your onions and stop that egg from turning into a larva, which is a worm that goes into your onions. Just go out and start looking at your plants and seeing if you can see anything that looks abnormal, and then start digging a little deeper to see what it is.
Well, does somebody in the bug colony send out an alert to the other bugs and say, "Deet, they've planted their garden, all hands on deck"? I mean, how do they know? Where do they come from?
Well, it's how they live. It's just like why we go to the grocery store to buy groceries to live on. That's their grocery store, is your garden.
Oh, my goodness sakes.
And so they literally, when the temperatures get right, the eggs hatch into the larva, and then they have a life cycle. Aphids have a life cycle of about 36 hours, I think. And in that time frame, they hatch, they eat up plants, they become adults, they lay umpteen zillion eggs, and die.
Wow.
And the next batch starts over. So it's an ongoing thing.
You know, is there any area of the Magic Valley that, and this is kind of a dumb question because I'm sure they're all over, but are a lot of these pests that invade your garden, are there certain areas that are worse than others?
If you're in a farming community where you've got a lot of hay, when they cut the hay, the aphids move out of the hay because it's not fresh anymore. They'll move into whatever is. They move into your yards and your lawns and things of that nature. Your agricultural areas do bring in more bugs. The potato beetles are, when they hit the potato fields, they're going to hit the potatoes in your garden too if they're right there handy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of where you live. In town, they don't have quite as many problems, I don't think, as the people do that's out in the country. But you still have aphids. I mean, aphids are everywhere. I mean, I don't know where they come from, but boy, they're thick and they're furious. So they're everywhere, and that's the main one that causes the biggest problem. Spider mite won't come on until it gets a little hotter on roses and things like that.
I have one last letter here for this morning, and it was a very nice letter from a lady that lives in Jerome. And she said, Vicki talks a lot about gardens, and she talks a lot about what to do to protect the gardens, but what about our flowers? She said, I'd like to hear her talk more about flower beds.
Okay, flower beds are a lot the same as your gardens. Again, you have basically the same bugs and pests that get into your flowers and that type of thing. Again, you have to become friends with your flowers. You need to walk through them, and you'll notice if you're out there enough and you're paying attention, you're going to see a plant that's in trouble, and then start seeing why. We've had a lot of trouble with slugs this year in flowers because of the fact that of the cool weather and the wet weather. And slugs are the slimy little critter that climbs, and they do their damage at night. So those kind of things. But with your flower gardens, especially with annuals and that type of thing, you need to keep a fertilization up on it a lot heavier than you do on a vegetable garden. Flowers require, like petunias, geraniums, those kind of things, they require a lot of fertilizer. You need to have a fertilizer that has a high phosphate in it. Don't use just a heavy, like a lawn fertilizer, because all you're going to get is a lot of leaves. Again, same as in the garden. High phosphate keeps vegetables coming on and keeps flowers blooming. And you need to do your petunias and that about 2 to 3 times a week with a good liquid fertilizer. Don't spray them during the middle of the day when it's hot. If you're going over the top of them with a hose-end sprayer, do it of an evening when it's cool. If you're watering on the ground and putting your fertilizers down around the ground, you can, it's still safer to do it of an evening when it's cooler, so you don't worry about it getting on any leaves, because it will burn and cause a problem.
Well, let me ask you this then, in accordance with that last letter, Vicki. If you see one that looks a little sickly and puny, it's trouble in River City. Is it too late to save the rest?
Not really, no. And usually, if you'll pay attention and notice your plant's good, you can catch it early enough to where you can trim them back a little bit, and usually they'll flush right back out. But you will have to get an insecticide on them. And there are some, for flowers and that, there are some systemics, which means it's a chemical that goes into the plant and stays there. And we have some sprays that you can put on that'll last about 2 to 3 weeks. and keep those aphids and those type of things off of the chewing insects off your plants. But you've always got the earwigs and the different ants and that coming up from the ground, which you have to put the chemicals on the ground to stop the bugs from eating your plants from the ground up.
Okay. Now, getting back to the garden real quick before we run out of time. Right now, with the weather forecast and the temperatures and the great weather we're having, everything can be planted. Corn, everything, right?
It's go for everything right now. This is perfect for corn and beans. All that type of stuff can go in right now. Peas, it's getting a little iffy on peas. They don't like hot weather. There's a couple of varieties that will handle hot weather a little better than others. A Wando pea is the one that will handle the heat and still set on. The others struggle a little bit when it gets hot. But as far as corn and beans and all that type of stuff, yes, it's time. You can put anything in right now, and it should grow and do great. Tomatoes, peppers, everything can go in right now.
Okay, and what are your words of Vicky's wisdom today?
Well, just remember, yes, we've got some hot weather, but I'm going right back to my water issue because that's the biggest problem people have. Check your ground to see what your water issue is. Just because it looks dry on top does not necessarily mean it's dry underneath. Check and see where your water levels, where your moisture levels at in your ground before you water. And don't keep them too wet because we still have cool nights, so they're not drying out that bad at night. Just kind of watch the watering and don't overwater and get your plants in trouble with a lot of fungus and that too early in the season.
Okay, and what about any specials going on this week at Vicky's Country Garden?
Well, we've still got a good selection of tomatoes and peppers and all that type of thing. We've got some beautiful roses that are ready to go in. Just kind of got all the seeds and everything that everybody needs, plus all the landscaping stuff, new perennials, good selection of trees, patio trees, all kinds of things like that. So just come in and see us, and we've got pretty much everything you need.
Oh, I know that. Folks, this lady is so nice and so helpful, as is the entire staff over at Vicky's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. And this is Gardening for Idiots, named after me, and it's normally on Mondays at 9:15. But I'll tell you what, we wanted to make sure she got on this week. Thank you, Vicky. God bless you, and have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you next Monday.
Hey, appreciate it, Zeb, and hope everybody has a good week and enjoy the sunshine.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on the program. Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden, thank you very much. Right now, we're going to have a weather forecast, and I'll tell you what, it is going to be a good one. But let's tell you who sponsors our weather, and that's Scarrows Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome, the number to call, 324-7657. And, oh my goodness, they've got all the breakfast sausages, the bratwurst. They've got a new buckboard bacon, which is leaner and more economical than traditional bacon, and in several flavors, too. Check it out at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. And right now, here's the weather.
It's going to be a beautiful day today. Wear the sunscreen, looking at sunny skies, a little bit on the breezy side, high of 85 tonight. Looks like clear skies with a low of 55. Tomorrow, more clouds are going to be rolling in, so we're looking at partly cloudy skies, winds bumping up just a little bit. High of 88 with an overnight low of 58. Temperatures dropping to 70 under cloudy skies for Thursday, overnight low of 50. And then back up to sunny skies and 77 for Friday. Looks like mid-80s for Saturday. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Appreciate it, Gina. Thank you, as always. Great job. And our thanks go out to Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. And it's true, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I've got time for a phone call or two, so please give me a jingle on the landline at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call, and I'd love to have you be on the air. While I'm waiting for your call, some of you might remember that last week on the program I said that I was going to have Melissa Franks, I got to try that all over again, Melissa Francis from Fox News on our program this morning. And she very cordially called us earlier this morning and said, I can't come on the air, but I will try to make it tomorrow on the program, and hopefully we can get her on the air. She's got a brand new book out, and we were going to talk to her about appearing as a child actor on Little House on the Prairie with Michael Landon, and then, of course, her going all the way to Fox News and her new book. So we'll try to get her on the air tomorrow and see if that won't fit her schedule. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And also tomorrow on the program, I'm going to check my list here. Yes, we're going to have Debbie Critchfield, and we're going to talk about the Relay for Life, the Mini-Cassia Relay for Life. And it's going to be Saturday, June 10th, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. at the Burley High School track. And just absolutely a very, very worthy cause. So if you want to, help fund it, if you want to be a participant, please, I'll give you some numbers tomorrow on the program that you can call and be a part of it. But it's the Mini-Cassia Relay for Life this year at, again, the Burley High School track, Saturday, June 10th from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. with the theme, One Wish, Two Wish, You Wish, I Wish for a Cure. And we wish them a lot of success. And earlier this morning, we had our dear friend Jimmy Flowers on the air. I want to get this in one more time. I've had a couple of calls during the news. People want to know more about that 31st annual Mini-Cassia Auto Collectors Car Show. It's going to be at the Cassia County Fairgrounds this weekend on Saturday and Sunday, and it's going to be a lot of fun. The gates open at 9 a.m. On Saturday till 7, and Sunday 9 a.m. till 5, and they're going to have all kinds of fancy cars there. And I asked Jimmy about the rat rods. I didn't know what a rat rod was, and he explained that those are cars that are built with about who knows how many parts, from maybe a fender from a Chevy, maybe an engine from a Ford, maybe a roof from an Oldsmobile, who knows. And he said a very interesting part of the show, along with all the Corvettes, the Mustangs, the street rods, everything, all of that going to be there at the Mini-Cassia Auto Collectors 31st Annual Car Show, Cassia County Fairgrounds, coming up on this weekend. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I'd love to hear from you. Give us a jingle quick on the landline before we run out of time here this morning. One of the things I didn't get a chance to get discussed this morning are the total destroying leaks that are going on somehow in the Trump administration by people that are hell-bent on trying to destroy Trump's success as a president. We're going to talk about this a little bit more tomorrow, but these people are nothing more than traitors. These people are doing nothing to help the United States. They're doing everything they can to embarrass this administration and doing all they can to stop any progress at all on all these issues. And I certainly hope they get to the bottom of it. It's got to the point now where they're going to have to go through every position, every post, and they're going to have to find out who these basic traitors are to the United States and to this administration. And I hope they find them. I hope they prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law, because this has gone way too far. The first 6 months almost of this presidency have been undermined by the media and the traitors that are trying to undermine it with leaks in the administration, and it's got to stop. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Take the time to tell you right now about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, where doing the right thing matters every day. Whether it's brake service, the best in brake service, whether it's front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, or whether it's the tires, they always do the right thing because it matters to you and your driving safety. Now, if you need tires, you know that they know the tires with the different tread designs. They've got all the sizes for your pickups, SUVs, your passenger cars, cars, everything. Stop in and see them today. And also, if you're heading out on a trip, don't forget to ask them about a free pre-trip safety check. And it includes a visual inspection of the tires and the wheel alignment and tire wear, front end components, brake components, shocks and struts, batteries. I mean, they really want to make sure that you have a safe trip. So stop in today and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. Tomorrow on the program, we've got Dave Bego from Indianapolis, Indiana. Jed Jacobs with his big horse sale up in Sugar City this weekend. Debbie Critchfield's going to be on the program talking about the Relay for Life. And hopefully, if we can get everything solidified, Melissa Francis from Fox News with her new book. So we'll have that on tomorrow's program. Want to remind you, Zeb at the Ranch on KBAR 1230 and then streaming live on the internet all over the world, zebbell.com. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you and yours had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06. And remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be.